Welcome, seeker of mysteries. Tonight, we journey beyond the veil of time, into realms where gods walk, serpents whisper, and the light of wisdom burns eternal. This is not just a story, it is a passage, a reflection of the eternal struggle between order and chaos, truth and deception, light and shadow. Open your mind, still your breath, and step with me into the ancient silence, where the whispers of Thoth await. Part 1. The Whisper of Eternity. Long before men measured time with sand or marked the sky with constellations, there was silence. A silence not of emptiness but of expectancy, as though the universe itself held its breath, awaiting the unfolding of a mystery. In that silence, a figure walked across the black waters of eternity. His form shimmered between light and shadow, bird and man, thought and being. This was Thoth, the scribe of the gods, the keeper of balance, the one who carved words into the bones of existence. They called him many names: Jehudi, the lunar-faced, who knew the secrets of cycles; Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great master of wisdom, the unseen hand that wrote the laws of both stars and men. He walked with a staff of cedar, and upon its tip glowed a flame not of fire but of thought, an ember of pure consciousness. Wherever Thoth touched the void with this flame, constellations awakened. Spirals of galaxies blossomed. Vibrations of unseen music wove the first hymn of creation. Yet even in this vast orchestration, something stirred in resistance, a force that did not wish for harmony but for fracture. In the unseen depths, Apophis, the serpent of endless night, writhed. The serpent whispered not in words but in hunger: unmake, undo, swallow the flame and silence the song. Thoth knew the balance must be kept. Creation could not be left unguarded, for knowledge without guardians becomes prey. And so he bent the flame into letters, symbols glowing with divine fire. He inscribed them upon the unseen air, creating what mortals would one day call the emerald script, the living language of the cosmos. Part 2. The Birth of the Chosen Vessel. Ages later, when empires of men rose like tides and fell into dust, whispers of the script survived. Priests carved fragments into temple walls, mystics dreamt its shapes and visions, and seekers etched them into the sand before dawn. But none held the full flame, until a dreamer was born. In a small village along the Nile, where reeds swayed like whispers of forgotten gods, a child entered the world beneath the silver gaze of the moon. His birth was marked by silence. The air itself seemed to pause. The midwives whispered that the boy's eyes glowed faintly with gold, as though reflecting starlight not of this earth. His mother named him Seti Amun, he who is hidden in the breath of Amun. From youth, Seti wandered between shadows and stars. He would sit for hours by the river, tracing patterns in the mud, patterns he had never been taught. Spirals, triangles, the shape of the eye that sees both past and future. At night, dreams overtook him. Dreams where a man with the head of an ibis placed a glowing reed pen into his hands and whispered, "Write not what you see, but what you remember." Seti awoke trembling, the shapes from his dream burning in his mind. He did not know that these were fragments of the emerald script, symbols older than empires, carrying the pulse of creation itself. Part 3. The Summons of the Scribe. One night, beneath a sky thick with stars, Seti wandered too far into the desert. The wind howled like voices, and sand curled around him in spirals. He collapsed, thirsty, delirious. Yet when his body fell, his spirit rose. He found himself in a hall of endless pillars, their tops vanishing into shadow. Between them, walls shimmered as though woven from living light. Upon those walls, letters of fire moved like serpents, arranging and rearranging themselves into constellations. And there at the center stood Thoth. His ibis head gleamed in silver light, and his staff burned with the eternal flame. He regarded Seti with eyes that were not eyes but mirrors reflecting infinity. "Child of breath," Thoth said, his voice like thunder wrapped in silk. "The script remembers you. Will you bear its burden?" Seti fell to his knees, trembling. "I do not understand, Lord." "You need not understand," Thoth replied, stepping closer. "You need only remember. The serpent stirs again. The balance shakes. What was once written is being undone. Only a vessel may carry the flame once more, lest silence devour all." He raised the glowing staff, and with its tip touched Seti's forehead. At once, rivers of fire and stars coursed through the young man's veins. Symbols poured into him, ancient, blinding, alive. His body convulsed, but his spirit sang. When he awoke, he was alone in the desert. Yet on the sand before him lay markings, spirals, triangles, the eye, and in his hand, a reed pen that glowed faintly with silver fire. Part 4, The Awakening Flame. From that night onward, Seti was no longer a mere villager. Everywhere he walked, the air seemed to shimmer faintly. His footsteps left imprints that glowed for moments before fading into dust. When he placed reed pen to papyrus, the words written pulsed with living fire, shifting into shapes unknown to ordinary men. The elders whispered. The priests watched him with both awe and suspicion. Some believed him blessed, others feared he carried a curse. But Seti felt neither blessed nor cursed, only burdened. The symbols within him burned like a hidden sun. Sometimes they whispered, sometimes they roared, and always in his dreams the ibis-headed scribe appeared. "Guard the script," Thoth would whisper. "Guard it, for the serpent waits." And indeed, in the hidden corners of night, shadows began to stir. Crops withered without reason. The river rose with sudden fury. Whispers of a dark presence rippled among the people. They called it drought, famine, plague, but Seti recognized it in his bones. It was Apophis, gnawing at the edges of order. Part 5, The Trial of the Serpent. It was during the festival of the moon that the trial came. The village gathered, torches blazing, drums echoing beneath the stars. As dancers moved in spirals around the sacred fire, the ground shuddered. From beneath the sand, a hiss rose like thunder. The torches flickered, the fire bent sideways, and then, splitting the earth, rose the shadow of the great serpent Apophis. Its body coiled like mountains, its eyes burning void, its fangs dripping venom that smoked upon the ground. The people screamed, priests dropped their offerings, panic consumed the festival. But Seti stood frozen, the reed pen in his hand glowing as though awakened by the serpent's presence. The flame at its tip danced furiously, and the symbols within him erupted across his skin in glowing patterns. The serpent's voice boomed, "Child of script, give me the flame, and I shall leave your people untouched. Deny me, and I will devour the order of this world until only night remains." Seti trembled. He was no warrior, no priest, merely a dreamer. Yet the pen burned, and his heart remembered the words of Thoth. "Write not what you see, but what you remember." With shaking hands, Seti knelt upon the sand and began to draw. Symbols spilled from the reed pen in lines of fire, forming spirals and eyes, waves and stars. They rose into the air, weaving themselves into a living barrier of light. The serpent struck, but its fangs met only the shimmering web of symbols. Each impact sent shockwaves of sound like thunder, but the script held. The villagers, stunned, saw their world protected not by sword nor spear, but by letters of fire. Yet Apophis was not defeated. With a hiss, it retreated into shadow, leaving the words echoing in Seti's ears. "You cannot guard forever. Even scribes tire, even vessels crack." Part 6, The Descent into the Underworld. Seti knew this was only the beginning. He could not remain in the village, for the serpent's hunger would never end. He had to follow the path where Thoth's flame truly led, to the underworld, the hidden chambers where balance itself was forged. Guided by dreams, he journeyed across deserts, through temples swallowed by sand, and into caves where echoes whispered his name. In one cavern, deep beneath the earth, he found a door of obsidian inscribed with a single glyph, the eye that sees both ways. When Seti traced it with his glowing reed pen, the door dissolved into light. Beyond it stretched a river of stars flowing into darkness, the river that souls traverse after death. He stepped onto a boat of living flame, and the current carried him downward. Along the banks he saw spirits, some weeping, some radiant, some bound in chains of shadow. Each soul was a mirror of its earthly life, revealed in truth without veil. At the river's end he came to the hall of Ma'at, where scales weighed the hearts of men against the feather of truth, and upon the dais sat Thoth, recording judgments with his eternal pen. "Child," Thoth said, gazing upon Seti with calm gravity, "you have carried the script well, but balance cannot rest upon you alone. The serpent's hunger is endless. To guard the flame, one must become the flame." Seti's heart quivered. "What does this mean, Lord?" Thoth's eyes reflected eternity. "Sacrifice. To inscribe the final glyph, you must offer not ink nor papyrus, but your own essence. Only then shall the flame endure beyond devouring." Part 7, The Final Inscription. The hall trembled. Darkness coiled from the corners. Apophis rose once more, vast and merciless, its coils blotting out the stars even in the underworld. The serpent hissed, "Child of dust, you are nothing. Give me the script, and I will spare your soul from oblivion." But Seti, though trembling, lifted his reed pen. It blazed brighter than ever, brighter than fire, brighter than stars. Symbols poured across his body, weaving him into a living scroll. His veins glowed with light, his breath became letters, his heart pulsed with the rhythm of the cosmos. With the last strength of his mortal self, he pressed the pen against his chest. From his sacrifice spilled the final glyph, a sigil of balance woven from his life force. It rose into the air, vast as the heavens, binding serpent and cosmos alike into harmony. Apophis screamed, its coils dissolving into mist. The serpent was not destroyed, for chaos can never be ended, but it was bound again, woven into balance, caged within the rhythm of the stars. And Seti, his body fell like ash, but his essence did not vanish. It became flame, became script, became part of the eternal language. His sacrifice ensured that whenever order wavered, the script would whisper again through dreamers, mystics, scribes. Thoth, watching, dipped his eternal pen and inscribed upon the book of life, Seti Amun, the vessel who became the flame. And so the myth endures, that every time a seeker dreams of symbols, every time a scribe writes words that feel alive, every time balance is restored in chaos, it is Seti's sacrifice echoing through eternity. They say that even now, when the moon shines full upon the Nile, one can see faint glowing letters upon the river's surface. Children trace them with their fingers, not knowing they touch fragments of the emerald script. And in moments of silence, when the world holds its breath, seekers still hear the whisper of Thoth, "Write not what you see, but what you remember."